The old woman stared out over the endless sprawl of New Shanghai, her gaze fixed on the glittering lights that signified the city's wealth built on the bones of her ancestors. She knew every inch of this city, its bustling markets and quiet residential districts. Its soaring skyscrapers and luxurious pleasure boats gliding through the neon-lit canals. But she saw none of it. Her eyes were clouded with sorrow and regret, her wrinkled face etched with the pain of 1,000 lifetimes. For the old woman was no ordinary citizen of New Shanghai. She was Kai, the last survivor of an ancient race known as the Khan, whose very name had become synonymous with murder and genocide. The mere whisper of the word Khan sent shivers down the spines of even the most jaded spacers, for the Khan were infamous throughout the galaxy for their brutality, their ruthlessness, their insatiable lust for power. They were said to be a menace to the very fabric of civilized society. A cancer that must be excised from the galaxy before it spread and corrupted everything in its path. But Kai knew the truth. She had seen the horrors of war firsthand, the death and destruction wrought by the armies of the Zhora, and she knew that her people had been driven to desperate measures by the relentless oppression of their alien rulers. For the Zhora had ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, subjugating countless species and bending them to their will. They had enslaved entire civilizations, draining them of their resources and using their bodies to fuel their endless wars. And the Khan had been no exception. When Kai was just a young girl, her people were at the height of their power, ruling over a vast empire that stretched from one end of the Milky Way to the other. They had built great cities in the stars, monuments to their advanced technology and unmatched military might. But all of that had changed with the arrival of the Zhora. For the Zhora had come to the Kern homeworld seeking only two things: power and dominion. They had attacked without warning, their massive battleships descending upon the Kern worlds like a swarm of angry hornets. They had slaughtered millions, leaving entire planets in ruins. And the survivors had been forced to flee, becoming refugees in their own galaxy. For generations, the Khan had wandered the stars, hiding from the Zhora, unable to find a safe haven in a galaxy that had become a battleground. But eventually they had made a stand, gathering their scattered forces and launching a desperate counterattack. It had been a long and bloody war, but in the end, the Khan had prevailed, wiping out the Zhora and ending their reign of terror once and for all. But victory had come at a terrible price. Entire planets had been destroyed, countless lives had been lost, and the Khan had been branded as monsters and murderers by the very people they had saved. For the galaxy had never forgiven the Khan for what they had done to the Zhora, for the atrocities they had committed in the name of survival. And now, millennia later, the whispers still echoed through the stars, tainting the Khan name and keeping them forever on the run. As Kai gazed out over the twinkling lights of New Shanghai, she wondered if the galaxy would ever know the truth. If the whispers would ever cease and her people would finally be free to live in peace. Or were they doomed to wander the stars forever, hunted and hated, the galaxy's most wanted, the galaxy's most feared, the murderers of the